deep-throated burble, an implied threat of a big field for the final round of the Australian Touring Car Championship. And let's have a look now at the way they lined up after 2 practice sessions of qualifying yesterday.
On pole position for the first time in the title, George Fury's time is controversial. He's been told that he's 1.3 seconds under last year's pole, 2 seconds under the lap record. His time of 56.1 is the fastest touring car time ever around Adelaide International Raceway. Beside Fury on the front row is Allan Grice, back from Le Mans, now driving the Holden Commodore. His time is a 57.3 seconds, and that's 1.2 seconds slower than Fury. Also on the front row is the man in second place in the Australian Touring Car title on 95 points, Peter McLeod from Shell Harbour, a 57.5. That's 0.1 of a second slower than Alan Moffat's last year's pole time. Also returned from the Le Mans 24-hour races, Peter Brock. His time, a 57.5, puts him uncharacteristically on second position on the second row on the grid. Next comes the new Australian Touring Car champion, Dick Johnson. His time of 57.6 also puts him on the second row, and he's prepared to race hard today. Jim Richards' BMW 635 loves the long straight at Adelaide International Raceway, and improved handling makes the corners easier this year. Richards' time of 57.9. Fury's Nissan teammate Gary Scott is here for the experience to learn the circuit for the endurance race later this year. His time of 58 seconds would have put him on 4th place on the grid last year. This year he's 7th. In 3rd place on the championship on 82 points, 9 ahead of Peter Brock, is Warren Cullen. His time of 58.2 seconds reflects his race tactics to finish 3rd in the championship. Then comes Cullen's teammate Andrew Harris, as high as 5th place in the skirmish for lap times yesterday, drops finally to 9th on 58.6. And in 10th position is the young Tasmanian Steve Harrington, back from Le Mans as a spectator. His time, 59 seconds in a car that broke 2 head gaskets yesterday.
And this is the field warming up now for this 7th and final round. This is the second of their 2 laps. The lap record outright held by Peter Brock at 58.1. George Fury, when he was racing as a 3-litre car in the Bluebird Turbo, 58.7. But as we heard there in the run through the grid positions, Fury yesterday credited with 56.1 and will start from pole position after winning the last round, the 6th at Lakeside. The 7 rounds have been Sandown in Melbourne, Symonds Plains, Tasmania, over to Western Australia to Wanneroo in April, up to Surfers Paradise, back to Oran Park, back to Queensland, Lakeside, now to Adelaide. And that for Dick Johnson has meant at least 20,000 kilometres of travel for he and his crew back and forth across Australia. They're racing for a pretty modest $1,250 prize money outright, a total for the field of $6,550, less in fact than for the Super Series. And here they are now lining up. A strong field it is, and with the point score decided, Dick Johnson, the champion this year, following up on 1981 and 2. Moffat winning it last year but being put out of the series at Surfers. Peter Brock missing several rounds with his attack on Le Mans.
But Brock's still in possibility to take over 3rd position in the title.
The important thing, though, is for the drivers is to try and win this race. No points greatly count now. They're away, and it's 35 laps.
Grice is the man who's tried to intimidate everyone before the start of the race today, saying he loves the first corner and wants to get the lead there no matter what.
Peter McLeod arguing with him. Dick Johnson, 5.7 litres, powering him to the lead at the outside. Fury goes into 2nd, Grice is 3rd, McLeod's 4th. But the Green Falcon leads, the only Falcon in the field.
What a start from Johnson from the 2nd row of the grid.
Brock is 5th. And Richards arguing with Cullen is 6th/7th. Murray Carter there towards the tail end. And Gary Scott in the 2nd Bluebird Turbo, also a fair way back.
The field breathes a collective sigh of relief as they get through the first corner unsullied, because there really was a lot of intimidation going on in the pits today. People claiming that they just push other people out of the way.
There was 3.62 seconds covering 1st place Johnson, to 10th place Gary Scott as they came onto the final bold corner. 3.62 seconds over 10 cars.
Here comes Grice out of the slipstream of Fury down the inside.
So Grice second, Fury third, McLeod fourth, Johnson still leading and walking away from the battle. Brock trying to go forward from fifth. Sixth place consolidating himself, Jim Richards, the BMW. There he
Brock
is.
looking for a way around the outside of McLeod. Not used to being back there, and he takes over McLeod.
My word, and most decisively, in fact.
Well, Peter Brock doesn't like sitting back in a race, and certainly he was disappointed with being on the second row of the grid, which is most uncharacteristic. This year, Brock has taken 2 pole positions. Moffat took 3. Moffat, of course, not here today, still injured, as Johnson goes through with a time of 58.13 seconds, a lap average of 148.71 kilometres an hour.
2.65 seconds covered the first 6, from Johnson in the lead to Jim Richards in 6th. With Grice, Fury, Brock, McLeod sandwiched between those 2. And there you see Richards in 6th. Johnson winning the title this year, his 3rd touring car championship, I'm sure in a way that didn't greatly please him.
Lap record is 58.1 seconds. Johnson did a 58.13, so you could say right now that they're racing on last year's lap record.
Johnson's got there through consistency rather than winning races. He won the unfortunate Surfers Paradise round, but drove beautifully to do so, but has mostly had seconds and thirds, and mostly been out of real contention for a win, although he's arguing about that today as Fury comes on to Grice and McLeod sticks with Brock.
Fury can't hold the big V8 Commodore down the straight. Yes, he can. He did.
Well, he didn't hold it down the straight. He went perilously deep under brakes. Flew into the bottom corner much faster than Allan Grice.
Now Peter Brock all over Grice.
And we've lost Peter McLeod, I think, out of that bunch. Yes.
Yeah, there's no sign of McLeod back there.
The Endurance Championship winner from last year, gone out of that bunch. So it's Johnson, Fury, Grice, Brock in a malevolent bunch at the front end of the field. Cullen, Harrington and Scott in another trio, 5th, 6th and 7th. And then Andrew Harris in 8th, Murray Carter 9th. And Shepparton's Brian Thompson in the Camaro, he's just acquired 10th. Jim Richards has fallen back too, so perhaps he got involved with McLeod. He is 12th at the moment, Jim Richards. Had been 6th.
4 laps now down, they're on their 5th. And McLeod comes around the bowl, down beneath the racing line and heads for the pits. And that could cost him his 2nd place in the Australian Touring Car title. He currently holds it on 95 points from Johnson on 134. Up onto the bowl again with a lapped car coming up in front of Dick Johnson. George Fury really starting to get up on Dick Johnson's tail.
Yes, sir, going extremely well. Lots of pressure from George Fury, the team that pulled out, missed around Surfers Paradise, which in retrospect they might have been done well at in the wet race, but unreliability and not quite enough speed made the Nissan team decide to get out of it. But look at the way they're running at the moment, as they're out after Dick Johnson.
And the oil flags are out at the back of the circuit, which one would probably have to put down to Peter McLeod.
And as Johnson thrusts hard to get a quick run onto this final section of the bowl, Fury is quicker, makes ground on him, and down the straight this time, that Bluebird Turbo will be flying. Let's keep an eye on it. They're on their 7th lap.
1.51 seconds.
Look at him, tucked in, going for the lead without any shadow of a doubt. Down the other side of a lapped car, and it might have made the difference. Fury trying to do the same thing, I think, to Johnson there, as he did to Grice earlier on. Further back, it's Commodore's, Brock's Grice.
And Brock's in front of Grice. 1.51 seconds the gap between these two, and then the Brock-Grice duo.
Plenty happening.
And here comes Fury down the inside on the bowl. Once he gets there, though, he's got to hold it. And he's done it. Now, let's see how Turbo 4 goes against Big V8. Fury down the inside, making it terribly difficult for Dick Johnson to do anything but do what he did then, come up the outside and go for the braking manoeuvre on the outside of the corner. And Fury holds the corner. And for a man that a lot of competitors say is not really yet a fully blooded racing driver, as he is a sprint driver through his rally experience, George Fury is doing very well in the nip and tuck of battle, isn't he, Will?
Extremely well, but George would not like to hear such comments. The quiet, smiling eyes of George Fury. He's a very quiet man. Don't accept demotions of his ability very kindly.
And now Johnson falls off the pace and Brock comes right up on him. 1.2 seconds separates George Fury from Dick Johnson after only one lap. And now Johnson's under threat from Peter Brock.
Brock qualified on Yokohama's, is racing on Dunlops. We'll be doing a big test session here tomorrow with the Yokohama engineers from Japan. They ran on two of the Skoll Bandit Porsche 956s run by the John Fitzpatrick team at Le Mans, and are very keen to get into the Australian race scene.
And it's not only Japanese engineers, Will. The Yokohama people have also hired Bert Baldwin, who's the ex-Formula One Goodyear compounder, and he's flown into Australia especially for the test session tomorrow.
Fury, 1.52 seconds from Johnson, who goes wide and slowly. Brock surges onto his tail end, and Grice watches from fourth. There's the gap. You see Fury pulling out time.
The Adelaide International Raceway circuit is very abrasive on the front and rear left-hand tyres, and Johnson is noticeably slower on the bowl, which is the most abrasive corner on the track. He is at the moment trying to preserve his outside working tyres as much as he can for the long race ahead.
At the end of 9 laps, it's a quarter race distance of the 35 laps. Second, third and fourth. Good strong race with Peter Brock very keen to finish in front of Johnson. He really sacrificed the Touring Car Championship this year in his pursuit for victory. Certainly a strong run at Le Mans, which I was lucky enough to witness, and very interesting race it was. And he and Larry Perkins, a two-driver team only, ran with great credit, qualified well, ran well in the race, and were in a sense unlucky, as many of the competitors were, because luck plays a big part in a 24-hour race.
Here comes Brock out of the slipstream of Johnson.
But unlucky not to finish, because that was really their goal.
And he's got him.
Yes, second place it will be. Brock. Johnson knows he can't do much, so slots tidily in behind him.
Brock's going for something of a record here, actually. He is the only person so far in the 6 rounds of the title to have won more than one round. He's won 2 of them, and 1 round each has gone to Johnson, Moffat, Bob Morris at Oran Park, and George Fury.